Which brings me to, this is an interesting thought. Like, what's your opinion on this potential TikTok ban?
I oppose it. I oppose it on the grounds of free speech and civil liberties. This is, speaking of fomenting fear, this is one of those pieces of legislation that's, if you just read the talking points for those who support it, and it's supported by many people in Congress on both sides of the aisle, you think like, oh my gosh, we've got a national security risk and you've got concern for our kids and all of this other stuff. But when you actually read the language and understand the implications of what this legislation does, it's not really about TikTok at all. It's about government being able to choose what platforms are acceptable and what are not, and what we as Americans are able to either get information from or put information out. And then you look at, okay, well, if they're giving themselves that authority, how will it then be enforced? Then you get into the civil liberties concern of the Fourth Amendment, of government overreach and trying to figure out, okay, well, now I'm going to have to look into your phone and figure out if you're the guy who's using the VPN to illegally download this app. Then you're looking at, the designation is that if you have 20% or more ownership stake or stake in a business that has been designated by our government to be illegal because of its association with a foreign adversary. There are a few countries listed there, but the president would have the power to designate any other country a foreign adversary without any kind of, Congress wouldn't have to take action. It's a unilateral move. You are also implicated if you are someone who the government determines to be influenced by or connected with one of these countries that is a foreign adversary. And so, Elon Musk has talked about this. It is not outside of the realm of the not only possible, but the probable that if they wanted to say, okay, well, Elon Musk is doing business with this country that we don't like, and he also owns this platform called X should be shut down because of this association. I think Ron Paul said it best when he said that this legislation is the most, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said it's the most egregious violation of civil liberty since the Patriot Act was passed in the wake of 9/11. And when you look at the arguments that are being made around both of those pushes, they are very eerily similar in invoking national security concerns. And the language and the way that's written is intentionally vague, that puts far more power into the hands of the executive branch, just like the Patriot Act did, to single-handedly say, well, this is a good guy and this is a bad guy. And that has a direct implication on Americans.
And wasn't there another recent thing that passed that allows more observation of people through cell phones?
Yes. And both of these things were actually wrapped up into that same bill that just passed through. They lumped together a whole bunch of different things. They were separate previously, but the thing that the TikTok ban was lumped together with was the bill that would reinstate or extend the FISA authorities, the Foreign Intelligence Security Act authorities, for another 2 years. Section 702 of FISA gives our government the authority to surveil foreign actors, essentially, to try to identify terrorist threats. But part of that is they have the ability to capture all of the conversations. If you talk to somebody in another country that they're interested in, they can then go in and capture all of your information as an American citizen. And they can do this without a warrant. This has been in place for quite some time, but this legislation that was just passed recently expanded those authorities so they can go and actually look at like your Wi-Fi history. If you're connected to Wi-Fi, they can look at everything that you did connected to that Wi-Fi signal and in some other ways. It took an already bad problem and made it many, many times worse. And again, they're just saying, well, it's for national security. The problem here is
that's the thing they always say.
That's the thing they always say, and it's like, you know, I think it was Benjamin Franklin who said if you are choosing security over liberty, you will neither be secure nor will you have liberty. That's not an actual quote, but that's basically the point here. And that's the false choice that so many of these politicians are forcing on the American people is you can either be less free and more safe, or you can be more free and, oh, by the way, you're going to invite more terrorist attacks or more national security incursions on our country. And it's just BS. It is BS.
It's also very un-American.
It is.
And here's the problem with government overreach. The government is just people.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like, you know, if you thought of them as something other than a 3-letter name like DEA, CIA, NSA, just a bunch of people.
Yep.
You would go, well, why is this like the DEA? Why is this 10,000 people telling all these other people what to do? That sounds crazy. There's way more of them than there are of us. If it was just in this room and Jamie turns out to be the cop and he says, hey, I'm going to put you two in prison because I heard you like hemp.
Yeah.
We'd be like, Jamie, fuck off. That's crazy. Yeah. But if it's a government agency with a 3-letter name, you're like, oh, this is the government.
Right.
It's the government. The government is just human beings. Yeah. And there's just a natural inclination that people in power have is to try to gain more power.
Yes.
Rich people want to get richer. Hot people want to get hotter. Like, that's what it is. You know, it's like everybody wants to improve. Yeah. And the governments, they're in the business of telling you what to do, and they want to be better at that business. Yeah. And the best way is to be able to, like, constantly be able to surveil everything you say and do. Right.
And again, it
we
goes,
shouldn't let them.
No. And this is the problem. This is the problem is that, you know, every elected official swears an oath to support and defend the Constitution. Yet, as we saw with this most recent example, they are so ready to undermine our Fourth Amendment rights in the Constitution in the name of national security. And I know some of them are doing it with good intention, but without actually considering that the challenge and responsibility of those in government and those who have this power is to strike that correct balance between ensuring that our liberties and our